Hi, welcome to Jen's Daily Dish. Today we're going to be making babka. What is babka? Babka is a mixture of babka and challah. I know what you're thinking. What is babka? Babka is a sweet dough that has chocolate and cinnamon in it, and it is utterly delicious. Mix that with the sweet eggy bread of challah, you kind of have perfection. And also because we go together like babka and challah, together forever like cinnamon and chocolate and vanilla. Shake, shake. No, we're not doing the shake part. Nori is very excited that I get to use the pastry mat today. Oh, yes, I love it. Check out my other gadgets and my top 7 gadgets that I love in the kitchen. This has been invaluable, and today we're doing everything by hand. Isn't that right, Nori paw? Paw. Yeah, we're doing everything with our paws today. We're going to start by stirring everything in a large bowl. 1/2 cup lukewarm milk. It calls for whole milk. I only have 2%, so we're going to use that. It should be fine. Just lowers the fat content by just a tiny bit. 2 1/4 teaspoons yeast. It's going to like that milk. 1/3 cup of sugar. The yeast is going to like that even more. 4 large egg yolks. Make yourself an egg white omelet with the rest. 1 teaspoon vanilla extract. Stir together. Let's add the flour. 3 1/4 cups all-purpose flour. 1 1/2 teaspoons salt. 8 tablespoons unsalted butter, room temperature, cut into 1/2-inch pieces. Start with a spoon, and we're going to make this into a very shaggy dough. It's looking great. I'm going to get in there with my hands now. Okay, I'm going to turn this out onto a lightly floured surface, and we're going to knead it some more for about 8 to 10 minutes. On to the floured surface it goes. I'm just going to pick up any remaining pieces here. Okay, we're going to knead this for 8 to 10 minutes until it is a soft, supple dough and it is no longer quote unquote shiny. If you've liked what you've seen so far, don't forget to click the like button, that thumbs up, and subscribe. It really helps me out. I appreciate it. It's been 8 minutes and the dough feels great. It has a little bit of elasticity in it. You see that? So it means the gluten's doing its job. And it is nice and smooth and supple. And you know what? It is not shiny. Grease a large bowl with butter and go ahead, put your dough in it. We're going to cover it, put it in a warm place, and let it rise for 1.5 hours to 2 hours. The dough got quite puffy, which is just what you want. Now it's time to make the filling. You want to finely chop a cup of semi-sweet chocolate. I only have chips, so we're going to try the rolling pin hammer method, followed by a knife if that does not work. The rolling pin didn't work. Let's try a hammer. Plan C. Plan D. Yes, the old-fashioned knife and chopping. Yeah, should have started here. have mostly finely chopped cup of semi-sweet chocolate. Let's go ahead and add a 1/3 cup of brown sugar to that. And let's go ahead and mix that all together. Turn out your puffed up babka onto a clean surface. You should not need flour for this, hopefully. We're going to divide this into 3 equal portions. So now what we're going to do is take each piece and we're going to roll them into a 12-inch rope. Our 3 12-inch ropes. Now what we're going to do is flatten each piece and make it into a 12 by 6 rectangle. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to do that over on this side of the board. Brush the rectangle with a little bit of this melted butter that I have here. This was 2 tablespoons melted butter. It is now room temperature, so it's nice and cool. And I'm going to brush the surface. So now what you're going to do is you're going to take your lovely mixture and put it inside, and you want it to be within a 1/4 inch of the edge. So you want to make sure not to get it all the way to the edge so that you'll have room to pinch the pastry. So take a 1/3 of it. Now let's just go down the center. Again, not looking for perfection here. We'll spread it out in just a minute. Notice how I'm avoiding the edges. And yes, there are some chunks there, but it's going to be fine. It smells delicious already between the cinnamon and the chocolate. Now what we're going to do is we're going to roll it up lengthwise and make sure that all the ends are pinched together. Because ultimately what we're going to do is take the 3 different logs with the filling in them and make them into a braid. Now we're going to move them on over to the parchment paper lined baking sheet, and we're going to put the logs seam side down. So let's do that. They are nice and stable. How about that? Now what we're going to do is pinch them together just like you would do with a challah loaf or braiding anything. I'm going to pinch it together at the end. Okay, you got to leave a little slack in the braid because there's going to be some expansion. This doesn't have to be a tightly wound braid. Pinch the ends together here. Cover it with plastic wrap and let this rise to 1.5 times its original size, which, holy cow, that's going to be big. And it'll take about 1 to 2 hours. So at the end of the rise cycle, preheat your oven to 350. The challah got nice and puffy and so much bigger. Looks great. We're going to go ahead and brush it with an egg. This did not call for a tablespoon of water, but sometimes it does. In this case, we're just going to use the egg by itself. And then we're going to put some turbinado sugar on it. The recipe calls for demerara sugar. And there is a slight distinction where the demerara is closer to a brown sugar and a turbinado is closer to a white sugar. However, it should still have the same effect. As you'll see, it is a coarse sugar. And not as coarse as a sparkling sugar, but will leave a delicious caramel molasses finish on top. Into the oven for 35 to 45 minutes. It should be a deep golden brown color of deliciousness. Time's up. Let's give it a check. Oh, look at that. Is that gorgeous or what? All right, the interior temperature should reach 190 degrees. We are good. Oh my, that looks fantastic. We're gonna go ahead and move it over to the rack for it to cool down, and then we get to taste it. Look how good this looks. I almost don't want to cut into it. It looks so good. Oh, wow. Look at that. You can see all the different layers in there of the chocolate and the cinnamon. And the bake looks just perfect. Let's take a closer look. As you saw before, the chocolate swirls look fantastic. And we talked about the sugar on top looks great, and it's a nice, rich, deep brown that's just delicious looking. The inside, the part that is like the challah dough, it looks like a nice bake. You can see the different layers in there. We must try it. Take this bite right here. This is ridiculously delicious. I've eaten babka before, and I've certainly eaten challah before and made it. But this is such a wonderful, rich, lush combination of the two. It's got that soft and eggy bread that challah has with a little bit of sweetness. And then it's got that cinnamon and chocolate from the babka. This is a keeper. If I can do this, seriously, I've never made a babka before, let alone a babka. Yes, I have made challah, but that was the first time I'd made it then too. So if I could do this, you certainly can too. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram to see more shots of what I've baked that weekend at Jen's Daily Dish and more.